Yo, it is way too cold outside. It is like less than 10 degrees. It's crazy. So we're gonna film a video real quick in the car because it is too cold to film an outside video. Okay, now it's warmed up, but it's 10 degrees. Alrighty guys, what is going on? David Productions 345 here. Today we're gonna have more of a simple video. It's gonna be about the cluster swap, just because a lot of people always comment about theirs not working and they have a bunch of questions. I make these videos every couple months just because I like updating you guys on if anything new has changed or if anything I've kind of figured out. So without further ado, let me grab my iPad so we have the list of things I'm going to talk about. Let's get right into this video, guys. This is the cluster swap right here. We're going to go over everything that I'm going to talk about in this video in 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, guys, so let me turn off some of these lights so it's not as bright like that. All right, so the cluster swap. This is a common mod on 11 to 14 Chargers and 300s. This is the newer cluster from a 15 plus. If it'll focus, there we go. Don't mind the dust. This cluster has been installed by yours truly. I installed this in 2023. End of 23, beginning of 24, I think is when I installed this. I've had this installed on my car for about 2 years now. I mean, obviously this is a different car, but same kind of concept. Let me take my ski mask off. This video is going to be talking about a bunch of the common misconceptions about the cluster swap, what actually works, what actually does not, and then some of the cool features. So real quick, to enable this, all you got to do is take out the old cluster, which basically is prying off this dash bezel. Don't mind the lights here, but it's, you just shove a pry tool behind here, go around the whole dash, and this whole dash bezel comes off. The screen is attached with 4 screws. You guys see the Phillips head? We're gonna remove this radio. We're gonna mount it onto the new screen. And then we're gonna obviously do the cluster swap. Gotta unplug it behind it. There's a couple plugs. We're gonna unplug this radio. And then for the cluster, it's screwed in. So it's 4 screws. You take out the old one, put the new one in. There's screws holding this in. There's 4. Also, I'm doing this for you guys so you guys see how I'm doing this, because when I filmed this before, I didn't really get that many good shots. Then you got to install the screen on the new bezel. So you got to get a 15 plus bezel to fit. This is from a 15 Charger, doesn't matter what kind of bezel. They have different kinds. They have all black, they have different colors, carbon fiber, and that is how you do it. And I showed you guys how to install the screen onto the bezel. I'll show you guys a quick clip from it if I find it, just so everybody sees how I've done this, just so everybody's on the same page. You guys see how I like put Gorilla Tape on the sides to kind of hold it in place. I also zip tied each corner. I kind of like cut a little hole, or I found a hole. There's a zip tie in each corner, tightened it super tight. Radio is not moving. You guys see it is locked in place. It's pretty easy. I just use duct tape and zip ties. So that's a problem right there, and then it's pretty easy to do. And all you got to do is just tighten the zip ties so it's even, so there's no gray showing around. Then the screen is mounted. You plug all the wires back in for the screen, and in terms of the cluster, it's 4 screws to take out. New one goes back in. The thing is, these Charger clusters bolt right in. The Challenger one, it does work, but you got to cut the top 2 tabs. Like, you got to slim down a little bit. Cluster goes in, then you just throw the bezel back on. Now, here's another misconception. People comment, this doesn't work, my buttons don't work, this, it's a waste of money. No, it's not. You just got to do it the right way. And if you don't fully do something, why even do it at all? Like, this cluster, like, I'm not going to spend the money it is to get this and not do the full thing to enable the buttons, because that is just not really, that's not really ideal. So, for example, the buttons don't work. You can't just start using your buttons. You got to have the Taser. The automotive Taser, talked about it in almost probably every one of my videos. Here's my Taser, and it's in the trunk because this is the Z Automotive bypass. So the thing is, on newer vehicles like 2018 plus, you need this in the trunk, or else your Taser will not work because of some security module. So I just did this because it's easier for me to have in the trunk, so I don't have to worry about it. I can just always leave it plugged in and just have stuff in my OBD2 port still. So This is the Taser. It is a OBD2 device you plug in there, or you can throw it into the back of the car. It's called the double bypass. Basically gives you features like sport mode enable, paddles, fog lights, cluster swap, SRT pages, all of that stuff. So you got to get that, you plug that in, and you can scroll through those menus to enable it. So when you plug the Taser in to get your cluster to work, you got to get to the audio screen. So how do you do that, may you ask? Well, you press the cancel button here, and you press this button right here. That gives you quick access, start using your buttons. Then all you got to do is go to the audio screen. So once you do the cancel and the traction off button, that'll give you the cluster swap mode. That'll give the cluster quick access for you to use your buttons to enable the full cluster swap mode, so everything will work. You get to this screen right here. Then once the Taser is installed, which you just plug it into your OBD2 port. Here's the Taser. We're gonna try to get as much light as we can. Plugging it into the OBD2 port down there. You guys see this screen go all the way to the top, and then you're gonna press this back button and the cancel button. All right, you see that light show? Come on, Mary. So guys, here, back it out for a second.
This is the important part.
To marry it, you see the back button, press that, and then I believe it is the on for the adaptive cruise. There we go. So let it marry to the car. That means it wasn't married. You press the back and the cancel button, and it'll say, like, it'll start going through the options right here. You gotta marry the Taser before you do anything. So scroll through the menus. To scroll through the menus, you do the same thing. You press this and this every time you want to move either to the next menu or to the next item. You do that. If you want to go into the menu, you press this button and the on button. Anyways, you got to marry the Taser. Then you got to scroll through the menus to see the cluster swap mode. You select it, click yes, and that is activated. That will mean your buttons will work. So all the people saying buttons don't work, how do I get that? That's how you do it. Pretty simple. That's $250 for the Taser. The exact price for the cluster depends on whether you get it from a junkyard or somebody has it locally for you, or marketplace or whatever. Bezels are pretty cheap. You can again do the same thing, marketplace or find it on eBay. But that is how you get your buttons to work. If they don't work after that, your car might have another issue. Sometimes some people complain about it not working. Sometimes the Taser takes a couple of cycles to work, so you got to just make sure you give it some time to work. Also, guys, the thing about the cluster is that you can't just throw it in there and expect your old miles to transfer over. The cluster will have whatever miles has been on the last car. So say, for example, my friend sold me a cluster from his 2018 Dodge Charger with 13,000 miles. I'm driving a 14 with, look at the miles right there, 132,000. My miles are not going to say 132. It'll say 13,000 if I put a cluster in. What you got to do is use Alpha OBD on an Android phone or Windows computer, laptop, and enable the mileage change. You basically just use Alpha OBD and change the mileage. Again, that's kind of finicky. Sometimes it doesn't work. I can't explain that. It is what it is. But that's how you do the mileage change. Next thing I want to talk about is people complaining about the gas gauge not working. So in order to do this cluster swap, you have to have a 15 to 17 cluster. If it's any newer, some things won't work, and that's why a lot of people complain about this not being worth it, because they get the wrong year cluster and they start complaining because they didn't do it right, and they're not doing the whole process right, and then they're complaining to me or just complaining in general, saying this is not working, this is horrible, blah blah blah, it's a waste of money. 15 to 17 cluster, it'll work as long as the cluster is not messed up. You'll be able to tell if somebody sold you like a messed up cluster, then you'll be able to tell. So a lot of people say their gas gauge does not work. What I would recommend, if yours has not synced yet, is drive it a little bit. Like, make sure you have enough gas to drive around a little bit, then go fill up. What happened with me was, I think I was at like half of a tank. I was ripping on it a little bit after I did the swap, after I changed my miles, obviously. Then I went to fill up and it went to full. And ever since then, it's been so accurate. And what I like about this, guys, is that the range is up here, and I'll get into that later. But you can kind of configure these top things up here, and it's really cool. But I just like how the new layout of the cluster just looks way more user-friendly, and it's just really cool. I just like it. It just looks really nice. So again, your gas gauge will work. You just got to give it like a fill up or two. It literally just took me the same fill up. Like I was ripping it for like 30 minutes, and then I went to the gas station and I filled it up. All right, so that's kind of like the main things people complaining about. Now I'm gonna get into the section of the where we talk about some cool things. So what I said before, 95% of everything will work as long as you do it the right way. And why do I say that? Well, some things, for example, some splash screens that you enable with the Taser don't work, just because, I don't know, I think the coding for the car. There's also, I think, one thing that doesn't work just because of the fact that that's just how it is right now. Z Automotive really hasn't updated this in a bit. So also, what I want to talk about is you can like enable cool things like performance pages. What do I mean by that? So for example, you can get pages like this. Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I'm looking at. 0 to 60, 0 to 100, eighth mile, quarter mile, braking distance, current G's, peak G's, lap timer, lap history, top speed. And yeah, that's performance pages right there. Also, what's really cool is when you enable SRT pages and SRT package, I think is what it's called. It's through the Taser. You guys see how mine says, let me zoom in, 170 and 260. When I first put this in before the Taser, it said cold, like C for cold and H for hot, but that turns into 170 and 260 when you enable SRT mode. I'm not talking about that SRT mode, I'm just talking about SRT settings, because that it's just so cool. Because I'd rather have it say an actual temp. I mean, it's the same kind of thing, but I've noticed the SRT gauge is kind of a little bit different. Like it reads a little bit colder because I think the SRTs have a different temp range. So your gauge will be a little bit lower than normal, but it's the same temperature, just how the SRT thing is set up. Because I noticed that even on my old cluster, when I had the SRT settings enabled, my car would sit underneath the quarter mark. And I'm like, this car's kind of running cold. But if you look in the regular performance pages right here, 185. So you got the 180 thermostat, so it makes everything easier. What I want to talk about next is that you can kind of change your gauge layouts. So let me go to that screen to show you guys. Oh, also the fuel economy page looks way better. That shit looks sick. All right, you got your trip info page, which I use to do my oil changes, audio, messages. Okay, so screen setup. This is what I was talking about. You can change what's where. So I'm gonna press OK to get into this menu. Give me 1 second. So I only have 2 hands. OK is the right arrow and the plus. So I got into the menu. Let's zoom in so you guys can see. So you can see what's in the center, which is up there. It'll show the red. The upper left, which is there. Upper right. Restore defaults. Current gear. So make sure this is on because that shows PRNDM. And then the odometer is there. You can have that displayed, or you can have that basically turned off. I don't know why you'd want to do that. Gear display. So this is cool. Let me show you guys something really cool. Watch this. Let me press OK real quick. All right, so you can have it single gear like that. So it'll show PRND, or you can just have the full. I don't know why you'd want the single. The full looks way better. All right, so that's that. And I'll just go into a menu real quick to show you guys what are some of the options you can have. All right, so look, trip A, trip B, current, audio, menu title, digital speed, none, compass, outside temp, time, range, average, current. Let me go to upper left. See, this one's different. Look, time, range, average, current, trip A, trip B, none. Compass does not work. Oh. Okay, so sometimes the compass does not work. I don't know why it's working now. I think it's just trying to work for the video. That's cool. Next, what I really want to talk about is going back to, let's go back to 2x zoom. Where is it? All right, in the vehicle info tab, what I like is that it just looked a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to access. I'm scrolling through the menus with this. Right here, up, down, right, and then back is left. Battery voltage, intake air temperature. So some of the gauges like this one, And then there's also another one, do not work on any other year besides a 2014. I don't know why. For my old 13, this gauge did not work. So it works for my 14. It's kind of weird. All right, so right here, engine torque. Revving up the car, and it's, dude, I love that. That is so cool. It's live. So there's torque and then there's power. Also, you can see that in this as well. So basically you can go to the live page right here. When you rev it up, it's the same thing, but they have it in here, which is really cool. I really like that. So there's that 5 horsepower torque. Also something really cool, let me go through the rest of these menus. Tire pressure, coolant temp, trans temp, oil temp, oil pressure. Oil life will only work for a 14 as well. So it's kind of weird. I don't know why oil life only works for 14. All right, so one of the most annoying things is that when I press sport mode in my SRT mode right here, watch what happens. Nothing. So it's kind of annoying. Sport mode doesn't pop up in the cluster just because it's just kind of does not work. But when you press the traction off button, watch what happens. Traction control sport. So that just means I'm in sport mode. So I don't know, I think it's something with the coding. Also, what's kind of weird is that when you're driving in manual mode, like say for example, I'm using the stick to shift or the paddles, it will just all light up. I'll just demonstrate real quick. So look, right, I'm in manual. It doesn't show me what gear I'm in. It just shows them all light. It just shows them all lit up. It doesn't show me what gear I'm in. Kind of annoying, but also what's cool is that this text is changed. The original one was kind of weird. It's like more blocky. When you enable the SRT mode, you get this text. So that's also kind of cool. It's kind of customized, is that it just changes the text, changes the font. All right, also what's cool is that you can actually change these gauge faces. They don't have to be the ones that come with the cluster. Before you install it, you can take off the lid of it. It's kind of annoying, but it's doable. So this speed warning menu is for people who have like teen drivers who drive their cars. So if they go over a certain speed, it'll keep like beeping at them. So it just kind of preventing them from going fast. I don't know if it really is helpful. I never use it because I don't feel like it. Also, what's cool is that you can check engine lights with this cluster as well. So if you have one, you can enter this and it'll read the code for you. It'll just tell you the code. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to talk about all the cluster stuff because I just want to do it every couple months because I just want to revisit old topics so you guys know like what I'm currently still trying to refer to and talk about. So you guys don't have to go years back searching for my videos because I've made similar videos to this, but not entirely similar. So I just wanted to mention that. Oh, my car rolled back. I thought I was about to crash. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and found it informational. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out, guys, and have a great, safe day. If you guys live in an area that's cold, please bundle up. It's cold as hell. That's why I have my ski mask over here. So without further ado, guys, me and Raven will see you guys in the next video. Peace out, guys.